Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Millennial Think Tank. And tonight we are going to talk about millennial leisure time and with a focus on music and booze. We decided to lighten it up a little bit for the holidays, and I am allowing these millennials to have a little bit of alcohol during this hangout. Okay, so I'm going to start by having everybody introduce themselves, and you know the routine. Where you fit in the millennial spectrum, what do you do for a living, and where are you geographically? So Albert, we'll start with you.
My name is Albert. I live in Silicon Valley. I work in high tech, and I am 27 years old, and I really like apple cider, and that's what I'm going to drink right now.
It's hard cider. Apple cider is
Cheers.
what you have. That's hard cider.
Yeah, hard cider. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And we're going to talk about
cases,
cider later. Okay.
you'll find me drinking wine or independently brewed beers. So yeah.
All right, Armand, Albert's trying to jump ahead. You go. Introduce yourself. There you
Hi,
go.
I'm Armand. I work in public speaking and debate. I coach online and in person, and I live in San Francisco. And I guess if we're introducing what we're drinking, I'm drinking a proud San Francisco Amber Steamer, which is the beer of choice for all of San Francisco.
And
So
it's been around for how long? Because I've never heard of it.
it has been around since 1896, according to the bottle.
Okay. All right. And Helen is wasting no time. Helen, introduce yourself. I don't know if that's frozen, but I like it. I hope that. There you go.
Hi, I'm Helen, and I'm an interaction strategist in digital creative at a boutique advertising agency. I'm an older millennial, and I'm currently drinking Crown Royal, which is a fine whiskey, because the only other booze I had was some Romanian hooch.
And you're in Toronto, right? You're in Toronto? That's where she is, right? Okay. Hesse?
Oh, damn. I'm the only one that doesn't have a drink. I'm going to have to go open a bottle of wine. Okay, I'm Hesse Jones. I work for our company with Amy. I am an older Gen Xer, and you know what I can do? I can go get my Kahlua, and I'll have Kahlua and milk. Is that good?
You can tell you just drink the milk.
Good milk. Wow.
Fine. Okay, go.
I'm kidding. All right, Joe. Nope. He may
My
be
name is Joe
frozen.
Cardillo. Howdy.
You're good.
My name is Joe Cardillo. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I am drinking some sort of, I don't know. My roommate is a bartender, so I'm drinking some sort of black tea, hard liqueur mixed with apple juice.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay, Samantha.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I am a younger millennial at 23, and it also makes sense that the married millennial is drinking coffee instead of any hard liquor, and I work in public interest research, and I currently live in the tundra or Edmonton, Alberta.
And I think you're drinking it out of the mug from your wedding.
Yes, it says bride. My cousins made it. This one, she was 7 when she made it, so it's got lovely details all over it.
Very cute. Okay, I don't know if Kieran's back in yet, because we'll just start and let him come back. Yay. I can hear you. Yes.
All right, my computer's being weird, so I'm on my mobile. I'm Kieran. I am a younger millennial at 22, and I am drinking some really nasty stuff. Here, check this out. This is like bottom shelf bourbon, and that's my favorite.
Okay, it is your favorite. It's what you can afford. Be honest.
It's what I can afford.
Okay. Okay. All right. And I'm Amy Tobin. I am a Gen Xer. I am the VP of Content and Strategy for our company, and I'm drinking seltzer until we get way farther into the program.
We
What I
get
can afford.
program.
It's what we can afford. Okay, so we're going to talk about music first because the topic, even though we're keeping it light, is about millennial leisure time. I want to talk about music first and then talk about booze because, well, you guys probably could talk about booze for an hour, but I can't. All right.
Sure.
So the first thing I want to ask is I want to hear about the music you love, especially the stuff you're really passionate about. So who is totally? I know Joe is really into music, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. And is anybody else? So I want to hear what you listen to, Joe, when you're at home, and then I want to hear the kind of stuff you go to when you go out for entertainment. So give me a little bit of a rundown on that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I listen to a pretty wide variety of stuff. A lot of like older blues, a lot of like blues rock and roll, so stuff like Muddy Waters, Slim Harpo, like just kind of old scratchy stuff. I also listen to and play a lot of like garage rock and roll. And so most of the stuff I see when I go out is like more kind of like grittier, maybe it's punk music, stuff like that.
All right. And does anybody else go out regularly to see music? Because I don't. I hate crowds, but I'm old.
I rarely do, because a concert out here is like $50, and that's like for a nosebleed seat, so it's not that great.
Well, what about local stuff? What about like live bands? Oh, Helen's in a band. What about live bands locally? Small venues.
Yeah, I think if that's like an add-on benefit to something, then I don't think I'm like looking out for anyone in particular to come. But if I end up at a restaurant or something, and there's a band playing, that's always a nice addition to my meal. Outside of that, I'm not really thinking about it.
And Helen, tell us about your band. They tour and whatnot.
No. We play varied shows from here to there. No, I've been in a band for 5 years, and then I have some other solo. I have a solo project and a little side project on the go. But I probably go to see music. Oh, I don't know, like I'd say maybe 3 times a week on average. But it's also, and we play. I would say maybe we used to play a lot more, and then we decided that more people come and see us, so we weren't playing every other month. So we play probably every couple of months, and then of course we see all those bands as well. So it's a combination of sort of like our friend network and also just bands I like in general, which there's lots. And unlike Albert in Toronto, people still consider it to be $5 for a band night to be a perfectly adequate amount to pay a band. And
How much?
We live on 90s prices here in Toronto when it comes to, like, we are outrageously expensive in everything except going to see a band. So, like, everything is like $5. And every time we played a show and they're charging like $8 at the door, you should hear the complaints. People are like, $8? What a ripoff. I'm like, you're about to go see 3 bands. It's not 1992 anymore. $8 is still really cheap.
Wow.
So,
Joe, is that everybody mute? Everybody mute for Helen, please. I think it might be Kiernan. Okay, good. Whoever muted. Who was the last person to mute? Because I think that's who's causing the feedback. Joe, I wanted to know, what do people pay going out? It has been so many years since I went out to see a band regularly. What do people pay in either New Mexico, in Albuquerque, or...
Oh, wait, real quick. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so, I actually have a perspective about New Mexico, San Francisco, and then more recently Denver and Colorado, since I've been up there a bit. Like, Albuquerque, New Mexico is pretty cheap because we don't really have, like, an insane amount of things that are listed, so there's not a lot of competition. So, for, like, a local thing, you're going to see, kind of like Helen was saying, about $5, maybe $8. For, like a mid-range thing where somebody's touring, you're going to see like probably 10, 12, $15, and then the top end around these parts is probably $20 to $25, unless you're talking about like a casino show, which is like some relic from the 80s or 70s is like coming back around, and that's contrasted with like I know the Bay Area is like quite a bit more expensive, but the range is a lot longer. In San Francisco, there's still stuff for $5, but there's stuff for like several $100 too.
So besides Joe and Helen, does anybody else regularly see live music? Nope. That's interesting. Okay.
No, I do.
No, I do.
Sorry, Samantha.
Yeah. So
all right.
like,
So I want to hear from both of you. Samantha, go first. Karen, go next. What do you go see, and what's the price range that you pay?
So it really depends on how many people are seeing things. So like the best thing about like Edmonton is that we have a really big art scene. So we're called Festival City. So like literally there's a festival all the time. So you can go and see like Said the Whale was here for free. Like they do a bunch of like musicians who come for free because the city just pays for it, which is awesome. And then also tickets aren't ridiculously expensive. Like you can see concerts for under $10 all the time with really awesome people. And then every once in a while they have like a big headlining show. And the one that I saw in the summer was Sonic Boom. I spent $150 for a 3-day ticket. And I saw like the Arctic Monkeys, I saw Jack Black, I saw Death Cab for Cutie, I saw Foster the People, I saw a whole list of people for $150. So it was like, yeah, because like each ticket, if I went to just see Foster the People, it would be like $75 if I went to like just a regular venue. But I could see a bunch of bands that are really expensive for like $150.
Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, Kieran, tell us what you do, what you see when you go out, and what you pay.
Well, there's a big festival in Bethlehem. It's called Music Fest, and it's actually one of the biggest ones in the country. And you know, it's like mostly a free venue. They have like thousands of people who come, and there's a few headliners, you know, that are a bit pricey. But you know, just being at school, Bethlehem is a tour destination a lot, and Lehigh has that facility where they host most of them. So I mean, I've seen Bob Dylan a bunch of times. I saw Billy Bragg.
Wow.
I get student rate tickets. It's like $15.
Bob Dylan, was it totally sold out and everyone's crazy about him?
I mean, it was definitely a pretty crowded concert, but I don't think he's the performer he used to be. You know, if you wanted to, you know, listen to him, if you just go turn on your garbage disposal, you know.
He may have always been like that, but I mean, nothing against Bob Dylan. Well, I want Kelly. Do you go out and see live music? And can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll definitely go out and see live music. Last year on New Year's, we went bar crawling and found a place that had a live band. That was just sort of one of the things that made it a good place to go to.
Do you pay to see bands when you go out?
I'll go out to do like concerts, but I feel like there's a difference between like going out to see live music in like a bar type setting versus going to a concert. There's gonna be two very different kind of things. Like I'll go to the Fillmore, but obviously that's not like I'm just gonna go to the Fillmore and hang out with my friends. That's like I'm gonna go to Fillmore and see a band that is, you know, playing at the Fillmore. Versus, hey, there's a bar down the street that has some music. I don't know who's playing, but let's go check it out. And most likely, like, it depends on what the cover is. I probably wouldn't pay any more than $5 as a cover to get into something like that.
See, there you go, Helen. There's the guy you can hate on. Helen's in a band, and people regularly complain if they have to pay more than $5.
It depends. It depends on the whole thing. Is, you know, if it's a local band that actually has some clout that people want to, like, the thing is that if you're paying a cover to, like, you're not paying, if you're paying for tickets to go see the band, that's different than paying the bar a cover charge.
Sure, but hopefully the band gets it.
And I
right?
feel like if the band is good enough that the bar is legitimately paying them to play, then it's probably a ticketed event. Versus, more often than not, as I understand it, bands will play for beer money. And that's how people start out a lot. Is you don't get paid a lot of money to play venues. You play for the exposure in the same way most artists do. Is as an actor, you work for free for a lot of small independent films. If you're a painter, you do free commissions until you gain clout enough that people are willing to say, yes, I want to pay you to do this because I've seen your work and I like you.
All right. Okay, so one question. When you guys go out, I'm just going to ask this for the heck of it because I think I might know the answer, but how many of you carry cash when you go out drinking? That's the first question. Raise your hand if you regularly carry cash. Joe. Because he hates the bank. Okay, I wondered about that. So what, Helen?
Bars are cash only. And so if you don't want to pay like a $3 ATM charge, you have to bring cash with you. I'm cheap.
Okay. God, I used to go to those kind of bars all the time. I'm definitely old. Hessie, that's where the generational divide is seen. Like, I go to bars where they take credit cards and you have really nice wine glasses. And that's funny because I used to be at those bars all the time. Okay, let's shift up to the music that you buy or don't buy, because I want to hear in particular what you guys think about Spotify and I'm sure you have an opinion about this, Joe. I'm sure other people do too, but I'd like to hear yours. You know, the sites where, like, you know, Taylor Swift, who I absolutely love, by the way, left Spotify because they don't pay out enough. And I wonder about, you know, I know Napster's been gone for years, but do any of you have feelings, because millennials talk a lot about being ethical, about taking music for free from artists? So, Joe, I'd love to hear you first. And I know Samantha's going to want to say something.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll jump in there. I mean, I do use Spotify. I don't really actually see. The thing is, like, a lot of people I know, you know, they have like 2 or 3 hard drives and tons of music, and that's really probably a transference from CDs. I actually don't really believe in owning a bunch of music that you don't listen to that often. I think that's kind of a bullshit endeavor. So, you know, here I'm going to have some music purists sort of angry at me, but for me personally, it's like I like to have a core rotation, so I buy the physical copy of things a lot if I really, really like the band and I've listened to more than a couple of albums, you know, like, or I listen to a couple of albums at least regularly. So that's my personal ethic. In terms of what other people do, I don't know. I'm not really that.
No, but I mean, do you mind stealing? Stealing's the wrong word, but would you bootleg music? Do you have a conscience about taking music that the artist isn't getting paid for?
I would rather buy something from an artist than do the bootleg thing, but it depends on if they're not, like, if an artist isn't very savvy and isn't providing like access to a lot of music, which honestly is not that many people I listen to nowadays. You know, if there's something available, if I can buy a tape, if I can buy a piece of vinyl, if I can download the stuff really easy and it's super accessible, I would much rather purchase it from the artist, and I do when I can.
Okay, so Albert and Helen are having an interesting chat on the side because Albert said, I don't buy music at all, and if not Spotify, YouTube. And so tell me why, Albert. Do you think of it as art?
Do I think of music as art or what?
Yeah, like, I mean, why do you not buy it?
Because I probably I have enough like material goods lying around here in my room, and I'm looking around and kind of freaking out about that. That if I had any CDs anywhere, I probably wouldn't have a place to put them.
No, but I mean buy them online, download them for paid versions, like for your MP3 or whatever.
I guess it's just inconvenient to do so. I mean, if I can just use Spotify as an app, and because I mean, already doesn't have enough space. I have a 16 gig iPhone, and so if I just listen off Spotify instead, it just works out for me better.
All right, well,
as opposed to downloading it.
Because I don't listen to Spotify. I listen to Pandora, right? The free version, so I have to have all those ads that come up. Albert, do you have, and it's funny when you think about this from a generational perspective, because my best friend is a boomer. She hates that I actually say that out loud. And she is so into music, and she buys music, and she has every channel. Like, everything's wireless, no matter where we are. She's got a little Bose, wireless speaker. She's way cooler than I am, right? Are you into music enough that you would have it playing all the time like that and have a system, and you just don't buy it because you're actually listening to channels? Because what I'm really trying to get at is, like, are you stealing music?
No, I would say I don't listen to music enough to, I think, be carrying around speakers like that. That's definitely not me. I maybe tune into Spotify like once or twice a week, and the rest of the time I'm kind of like, a boomer. I'm listening to the radio.
Okay. All right, so that's fair. So that's different than I was thinking. So, Helen, I want to hear you talk about what you think of, it's one thing if you're listening to Pandora legitimately, and you're putting up with the ads because you're not doing the paid version. But what do you think about?
Can I jump in real quick though?
Yeah, go ahead, Kieran. Go ahead.
I just want to inform the world, and I'm sorry to interrupt Helen, but I just want to inform the world that there's this thing that exists. It's a plugin for your browser called AdBlock. And if you download this, it's free. You never have to see an advertisement ever again in your entire life. You don't have to listen to an advertisement on Pandora. You don't have to watch an advertisement when you're watching.
Can I get in real quick on that too? If you use
Okay, go ahead,
AdBlock, I mean anybody that uses advertising gets zero money from their advertisers. So if anybody relies on advertising as their means of income, then by using your ad block, it actually sends a signal to the advertiser not to register that as a view. And people that use advertising get money based on the number of views that they get. So every time every time you click skip ad on YouTube, that person isn't getting money for that view. So only the ads that you watch in their entirety will cause the person to get paid anything. So essentially, if you're trying to support independent artists and are running an ad block, you're not supporting them.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. When I watched Anaconda and I skipped the ad, okay, I'm proud of that. All right.
Okay,
I don't blame you for skipping the ad on Anaconda.
Okay, so this is very interesting, though, and you know, from a marketing perspective, I don't want to skip the ads on Pandora. I don't mind; they only come on every 4 hours or something.
They're
and
horrible.
I like to.
That's not true.
What?
The Pandora ads. Whenever I'm on my mobile and I'm like driving and putting on my Pandora, the Pandora ads, they're like relentless. It's like one ad every other song. And it's horrible.
Okay, I don't want to argue about Pandora, and I have it playing a lot. Usually Mozart, maybe when there's no ads. That's what I work with. But what do you think about what Kelly just said? Because Kelly, I hadn't actually thought of it from that perspective ethically. I was thinking more of people bootlegging music. What do you think about what he said, Kieran? Like, if you're listening to lesser-known artists and you're not helping them because you're not letting the ads play, do you care?
Well, I mean, the primary exposure that I get to lesser-known artists is listening to, you know, the real radio or listening to online radio. There's a really great radio station outside of Philly called XPN, and it's member-supported, you know, and I do support the radio station each year. So I don't really have too much of an issue with supporting independent artists in this way. Okay, let's say I just want to watch some stupid viral video on YouTube of, you know, that video where Nicki Minaj is like a Nazi. You know, I don't care. I've got ad block on. I'm gonna skip the ad. And
yeah, that's Kelly said. I'm sure Kelly would agree. You should skip that ad too, right? But wait, I want to hear Helen. Helen, I do want to hear from you on this. Like, give me your. Can you hear me, Helen? Our connection is weird tonight because everybody looks frozen to me until they start talking. So I'm guessing she. All right, Samantha, I'm going to go to you because I'm guessing you have an opinion.
I am here. I'm
okay.
here.
Go, Helen.
I just got my heart broken.
Yeah.
By Helen.
Sorry. I know. Helen and Julia crush her dreams. That's what all my ex-boyfriends call me, too. I honestly, I guess I have. So, I mean, real talk and in the interest of full disclosure, I have a job. I have a reasonably well-paying job. And the guys in my band also have reasonably well-paying jobs as well. But part of the reason why we have reasonably well-paying jobs is because music doesn't pay anything. And I think my context for this is prior to going to work into advertising, and I don't know how many of you guys know this, I was a theater designer and a playwright for a really long time. And there's absolutely no money in it. And a lot of the time people sort of shrug their shoulders and they say, duh, obviously there's no money in it. But I think it's really distressing because so many of these pursuits bring so much value to our lives. Like when we're talking about listening to Spotify or listening to Pandora, you're talking about having music playing in the background all the time. These people work their asses off and give you everything. And I mean, like, we're talking like songs about their lives and the amount of effort that goes into it. And people cannot be bothered to pay 99 cents for a download. And I think, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. Like, I listen to Groove Shark while I work, but I also have a rule. And that attitude is, like, I have no problem downloading an album for free if I've already bought it once before. So if I bought a CD and it got scratched by someone, or I got a record and someone left in the back of their car, that happened, I will happily download it. If I'm listening to stuff during the day on Groove Shark, it's like I can't bring I don't know if you guys, I collect records. I can't bring my record player to work. So I have to listen to stuff when I'm at work or else I go nuts. But I think we live in a society, and it's not just a millennial issue. I think it's an issue for everybody where the arts in general in all aspects, are so important to our enjoyment of life, and yet we consistently devalue it. We consistently act as if these people, my favorite ones were like, well, you know, if you work really hard, you'll make it one day. It's like, but we all know that that is not how the music industry works. And we all know that, you know, especially with the way things are today, that you can have, like, I mean, Spotify, Taylor Swift left Spotify because she was making, wait for it, $4,000 a year off of Spotify. And don't get me wrong, she's got enough money. But for most artists, like we're talking about someone like Aloe Black, whose big song last year, I'm the Man, garnered him like $500, $600. What kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we actually mix it up as some kind of substitute. I don't understand it.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the ridiculous chat because they want to start drinking.
No, laugh at me. It's just, this is like this.
No,
is
I'm not laughing at you, and I get it. And I mean, I would like to do a thing out on
I gotta agree. I mean, I gotta hop in because I agree, Helen. Like, I mean, I think you really sort of hit it on the head, and like, you know, some of the blame for that probably lies, you know, with people, right? Which I think you're sort of right about it. But a lot of the blame also lies with really, like, a really, really crappy insider, just junky, not very innovative or thoughtful industry for like decades. And so that's what we're seeing. We're still seeing great artists get screwed because people who didn't know jack about music were in the business of music.
So,
sorry, if I could just say one more thing. We hold up the internet as an opportunity to find all these great new artists we would never have heard of otherwise. And then what do we do with it? We screw them over by taking their music for free, and we never tell our friends about how great they are, and we never give them anything. So it's one of those moments where if anyone's listening, I am a millennial, I do download music, but I also buy it in bulk for the bands that I care about. And if anyone else is listening, honestly, keep in mind that you are garnering pleasure from someone on the back of their efforts. And if you do not find it necessary to even throw a couple of bucks their way, personally, I think you should be ashamed of yourself. And there, no more on that.
Can I add something to this, please? I'm sorry. And I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's just the way that the internet has gone, and it's not subject to only music. It's subject to design. It's subject to journalistic content. I mean, there's a lot of industries that are suffering because of this, right? And I don't know, I think the introduction of iTunes did a lot to devalue music in general. And after that, like, the industry changed forever. It wasn't Napster, it was iTunes.
Okay, we are going to switch. 8:27. I can't believe we made it this far without talking about booze more. We're gonna switch to booze because I'm the sophisticated Gen Xer. I have a nice glass of Meritage here in an elegant Lennox. I insist on only drinking out of really nice glasses. I think this is what happens when you age. Is I used to go to college, pay $2 to get into a party, get a red Solo cup, and drink all night anything they had, Old Milwaukee beer, which I don't even think it exists. And now I can't stand going to a restaurant that doesn't have nice wine glasses. You know, so I think that's what happens as you age. I don't know. I mean, if you drink, but what I'd like to talk about is, first of all, I want to talk about Albert. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, so it was probably me. Oh, so Armand's telling me Old Milwaukee still exists. Armand, jump in this. When did you see it? Where?
San Francisco, they have lots of like old-timey beers and things like that. Not to call your beer old-timey.
No, Old Milwaukee was old when I was a kid. It was just the cheapest beer you could buy. Like
yeah. So I was at a place that sold craft beer yesterday, and I definitely saw Old Milwaukee amongst the like retro brands.
Wait a second. So craft beer, I'm not a big beer drinker, but craft beer is smaller batches, smaller beers, not owned by the giant distributors, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how the heck would Old Milwaukee, I mean, it is like water with alcohol in it, right?
That shit is not...
because it's considered like hipster or whatever.
Oh, God. I hate hipsters.
Just like
I'm sorry. Kieran, go.
People are obsessed with PBR. And it's this dumb fucking hipster shit Who
Wow.
wants PBR? It tastes gross, okay? And it's like the worst beer in the world. Fuck Pabst Blue Ribbon. That's all.
All right, all
You
right,
know,
all right.
wait, hold on. PBR in China is actually sold as a luxury good. They actually have ads in magazines where they're like, you see like a BMW and like really rich, happy people, and they're drinking PBR out of champagne glasses.
Okay, wait a second. Samantha, this is really funny because I was talking to Hesse earlier about the $2 beers that I used to, it wasn't $2, it was $2 for the whole night. You had $2, you were wrecked. We go to keg parties. So I said the luxury beer was Molson, right? Which is, I mean, all Canadian beers seem like luxury to us. I mean, I was in Pennsylvania. So Samantha,
her
you said,
face.
what?
Said, look at Samantha's face.
Well, I'm asking her, she said Molson owns all the microbreweries?
Yes. Creemore. Okay, so Creemore used to be this wonderful, tiny little microbrewery in the middle of God knows nowhere. And it literally was fantastic, and it had the best, like, if you wanted, like, a pale ale, you would go for Creemore, and it was delicious. Molson snuck up and, like, bought them, and then didn't tell anyone. So everyone's still like, I support Creemore, and it's great, not to realize that they were just paying Molson for crappy beer that turned out to be crappy after they bought it, because they changed all their recipes. So it's awful.
Well, this is what, I mean, didn't this happen in Kansas City? I wish
It
Shelley
happens
Kramer.
all over the place, and it's awful.
There's a big beer in Kansas City that was a big, local beer that got bought. I mean, in Pennsylvania years ago, Rolling Rock was the same thing. I don't know that they were great beers, but does it matter to you guys? So,
Yes.
Albert, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely it matters. I mean, if I'm going to spend money on alcohol, I'm going to make it count, right? Because if I want to drink water, why can't I just go to the, faucet in my kitchen and just drink some
Okay, but
water?
let me ask you.
Keystone Light doesn't really
one-
taste all that much different.
No. I didn't mean about how it tasted. This is my real question because there's a bit more nuance in that.
Sure.
So say you love a craft beer, right, or a smaller beer. Like I love Yingling. I know it's more famous now, but for many years it was a local Pennsylvania beer. It's damn good beer still, and it's owned by
one of my favorites is Wachusett Blueberry, but that's only available out in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want a really good beer in like Ontario, like go to Great Lakes Brewery and get like my favorite beer. They name all of the stuff off of like actual characters. Like you can get, oh my God, there's one that's named after Eliza Doolittle. And there's another one that's there's the Holly Golightly Pale Ale. It's so good, but they name it. It's all puns and it's delicious. Like
okay, but here's my question. So say Holly Golightly and all these other beers are great, and then they get bought by a bigger company, and the recipe isn't changed, so it still tastes the same. Does that matter, Albert? I'm asking you that.
If it tastes the same and it's what?
And it's bought by a corp. Say Budweiser comes in and buys Massachusetts beer, and they don't change a damn thing. They leave it as it is, and they own it.
That's fine. I mean, I drink Blue Moon, which I think is owned by like one of the big ones. I'll do that. Yeah, that's fine with me. I'm just not gonna drink like Bud Light unless you give it to me and I'm blindfolded, because
Okay.
I know that if I drink beer that way, then I'm totally like insulting myself.
Wait, but why are you insulting yourself? Because it tastes bad, or because of an image issue with drinking?
Well, because it's a light beer and it's Bud Light and it's like you can get it off a dead guy in the middle of any city. It's not really taking into consideration that you're being conscious of what you're drinking. I guess I don't know. I think it's just like
So what I'm hearing, and the reason this is interesting, okay, this is what I'm hearing, and the reason this is interesting is that Albert kept posting, which is fascinating to me from a marketing perspective, the stories about Budweiser, who realizes it is not attracting millennials. It's getting rid of the Clydesdales for this holiday season for the first time in 30 years. It's trying to change its imaging to attract millennials. But what I just heard you say, Albert, was not that I want to drink great tasting beer. I want to look like I care about the beer I'm drinking, because you're talking about the image.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're looking at like what you're drinking too, it is I guess the characterization of what it is, of maybe who you are, right? Because it's like I get, I'm not trying to label people here, but I mean it's like when you look at like movies too, right? What are construction workers drinking? What are people who have high-end jobs drinking? I'm not trying to like be in that way, but it's like I guess yeah, it is very like imagey, and it's like in college you could afford the Keystone Lights or the really, really watered down alcohol. But now that you have a job, now that you have a little bit of income, treat yourself a little bit. This is alcohol we're talking about, not like
Wow.
orange juice or milk or water or something like that.
But
I mean, maybe I just see it as like, if you drink shit alcohol, you're disrespecting who you are. I don't know.
Whoa. I drink alcohol. Okay.
What?
But
Yeah,
you're
you like shit, Albert.
What?
Maybe we like shit.
Oh,
That's maybe
Okay,
I
all right. I mean, I'm not like
Excuse me.
wait,
I
I
probably
want to hear
putting
this.
mouth disease here, but hey, I
Wait,
guess.
Wait,
Albert.
stop, Albert. Stop,
This
Albert.
is
Wait, guys.
alcohol.
Let me. Kieran,
But
let
every
me-
drop is charcoal filtered.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Shut up, Kieran. I'm going to let you talk about being.
I'm
a
just
straight
talking about
drinker.
beer. I mean, I don't know about like crap bourbon. Okay, I mean, I don't drink bourbon. I can't. You could put that bourbon in me, and I'd probably feel the same thing if you gave me the highest of high-end bourbons. I'm just talking about drinking Keystone Light.
Okay,
I
stop.
don't know anything
You
else
guys-
about the type of alcohol.
Albert, stop talking for a second because I got to moderate it. Okay, so I love that you're incredibly transparent and just admitted that. It blows my mind a little bit because I
Sure.
don't hear you talking about the way it tastes. So, Helen, did you just say that's incredibly pretentious? Is that what she said? Damn, everything's so slow tonight. I can't.
Well,
Helen,
so I also drink expensive booze and go to fancy places where they have names like this cocktail's called the artisanal middle finger, which gets. But I also think that there's a time and a place for everything, and frankly, I don't want to drink a $12 homebrew all the time. And sometimes I just want to get white girl wasted. And frankly, there's a time and a place. Like sometimes you want to sip and savor and be a classy grown up. And then there are other times where it's like our goal tonight is to see two of everything and maybe make some poor choices, which do not preclude seeing two of everything. And frankly, if I was to do that on the artisanal middle finger, by the time I got there, I would have already spent $120, and that's even before I left the bar. So,
okay, so
yeah, there's varying levels. If you judge me based on my booze choice, that's on you, not me. That's all I can say.
And that was a question I wanted to ask too. And the thing I love about Albert is he's the least pretentious guy because he so admits everything.
Okay.
So how much do you spend with you? Okay, Albert, Mister, I want to go out and look like I care about my booze. How much, if you're going to go out boozing, which you do twice in your life, okay, so you're going to go out for your third time this Friday, right, or whenever your birthday is.
Well, I don't know if I'm going. I don't know if I'm gonna make the choice to be drunk. I mean, I'm probably gonna.
All right,
drive.
so if you were going out to drink,
Hold on.
You're making
Albert,
choices.
I'm going to your birthday on Saturday, so yes, you are making those choices.
Yeah, Armando and I are not. My girlfriend's
We're gonna make sure that
More
happens.
choices will be made.
driver,
Okay.
Albert, you have no choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the question now.
Okay. What?
All right, when you're going out like that, how much are you planning on drinking? Because Helen's right, man, and I like nice bars. I don't go out to them very often because I'm a single mom, but it is not cheap. The cheapest glass of wine
cheap, which is
at the
why.
nice bars I go to are, $9 or $10. So, how much do you drink when you go to? How much are you budgeting when you go to a place like that, Albert?
To get drunk or just to drink?
No, just to drink, not going out on a mission.
I mean,
Exactly.
I'm good for one drink, and then, I'm probably done if I'm just drinking to, fit in with the situation. If I'm drinking to get drunk, then yeah, maybe that budget's a little higher. But I'm not looking. I get say one of these and in a bottle, and that'll cost $4 to $8, and then I'll call it a night. I don't really go for second
So that's
drinks
why
because
you can afford. See, that's why you don't mind drinking expensive stuff. Now, Kieran, let's go to the other side of the spectrum because you're in
Sure.
college. So, Kieran, it's so slow. I'm waiting for everybody.
What's up?
Okay, so if you're going out drinking with your pals, what's your budget? Because you're in college, so you can't be drinking $8 glasses of wine or whatever.
So I'll tell you, it depends, okay, on what's going on that night and the crowd that I'm with. For instance, the other day, there's this little shop in Bethlehem. It's a speakeasy. It's like this replica of this 1920 speakeasy. They only have candlelight in there, and the average price for a cocktail is $18. And me and my buddy went there, and we had a couple drinks, and we spent like $50. It was the stupidest thing we ever did. And, you know, I had a nice Negroni, and, you know, and then I went and I told the cocktail waitress to make whatever she wanted. And she did. And she put like some egg white in there, and I don't even know what I drank, but it was pretty good. But then other times I'll be hanging out with my friends, and they'll be like, hey, we need to get turned up, okay? And we'll go to this seedy college bar where they have $4 domestic pitchers before midnight, and we'll just down, you know, like 3.5 pitchers each, and then we'll die the next morning.
And what is that? What are you drinking in those pitchers? And do you care if it's Bud? Okay, you go to a bar, Kieran. Wait, here's the question. You go to a bar, they have your favorite beer, which is, I don't know, Yingling, and it's, I don't know, $10 a pitcher, and then Bud. Wait.
But you can buy Yingling for $4 a pitcher here. Okay, this is.
All right, just pretend with me. Pretend with me here, because this is the question. You go to a bar and there's a beer you love, and it's $10 a pitcher, but Bud.
A lot. I like Francois.
Can you let me ask this hypothetical pretend question, please? All right, so there's a $10 pitcher, and then there's Budweiser, which you don't like. That's $4 a pitcher. It's on that. Are you going to buy the $4 pitcher, or are you going to buy the $10 one you love?
It depends on who I'm with, because some people are too snobby to just go in there and you know, lower themselves to ordering Budweiser. If I was hanging out with Al, I definitely would not be ordering the $4 Budweiser. Okay? But if I was hanging out with Armand, I probably would.
Oh, Armand, I don't know. That might be a shot. Well, I mean, that's interesting. So it depends on who you're hanging out with. Does anybody else? Is that what everyone does? It depends on who. Not you, Helen, because I think you do whatever the hell you want. But
can I add something?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm pretty damn flexible. So, I mean, I'm just putting that out there. If we're going to spend $30 on a nice pitcher, or we're going to spend $4 on some nasty shit, I'm down to do either or.
Okay. All right. Armand?
So first of all, I want to say that I consider what Kieran said a compliment of the highest order, so thank you. Second, I would say it's actually, there's economic research connected to drinking and the choice of consumption that indicates that, like, the way we've talked about it is, oh, I want to feel classy or I want to hang out with my friends, is that we consume certain beverages or certain food or whatever because it creates a certain identity within us. And depending on the people we're with, whether we're from our friends from our hometown or whether we're at a fancy dinner, we may want to assume a different identity. And in fact, like, a fancy drink with like old friends may impose a formality on that. Makes it worse. So even though you may not necessarily prefer like the cheap $5 beer, it makes it more casual and friendly as opposed to ordering a PBR at like a work dinner. And so there's actually a lot of economic research to show that there's identity formation that's based around the choice of drink and where you drink it and who you drink it with.
That's what Kieran said, but you were much more eloquent about it. No, that's very cool, and I get it. It's funny. Maybe I wonder if there's an age. I wonder if that's qualified by age, Armand, because when I was younger, absolutely. Now, I like wine, and everybody knows. I don't care where I go. If I'm at your barbecue, I'm bringing a nice wine glass, and I'm drinking my wine out of it because I like the way it, So I wonder, I would really love to know more about that research. Kelly, what are you drinking right now? You said fine alcohol, or were you kidding?
I am drinking Old Rip Van Winkle's handmade bourbon, Kentucky bourbon whiskey. This stuff is the shit.
Oh, and is it expensive? I don't know what it is because I don't drink bourbon.
Yeah, it's kind of expensive.
Bourbon all the way.
But yeah, I love me some bourbon. I was drinking DiSerono earlier to get myself warmed up.
Okay, so...
Can I propose a toast to this entire group tonight, maybe, before this call ends, too?
Okay, we have 15 minutes. Go ahead, Albert. What's the toast? You got to say something, Albert. You can't just propose a toast. When you propose a toast, you actually have to say something.
Right. No, I'm just saying, like, at the end of our
okay. I'll let you close. I will let you close with a toast. Okay. I want to ask a question.
That works perfectly.
That's all. And going back to
besides Albert, does anybody drink hard cider because it's having a revival in the States?
That
I love me them girly drinks.
Okay, Kelly says yes, he loves it. Kiernan?
Yeah, that shit's good. Especially if you
What do you drink? What
just get some hard cider.
And Helen drinks it, and Samantha used to like it. Huh. And you know what's interesting is I listen
Yeah, I
to this
drink it
NPR.
too.
What? So all of you do. So I listened to an NPR show, and it was a very American revolutionary. That was what they drank during the Revolution because it was just easy to make, easy to make from apples, and you didn't need wood. And it was actually it was invented in England because they didn't have wood and they couldn't, I guess, brew. I don't know a lot about making booze, but anyway, I know my Irish grandfather used to make cider. But are there any other, do you guys have favorite cocktails? Are cocktails something that are popular with you, or is it mostly beer and wine?
Ooh, you people that come to my parties.
Wait, Kelly, what?
People that come to my parties, they rave about my appletinis and my menage a trois. Appletinis will hit you really hard, as I know a lot of Albert's female friends will attest to. And I have one friend who...
How many of my female friends have been to one of your parties? This is the first time I've heard of your parties. What the heck are you talking about?
And New Street, like all of your... They were every time I go to those, I'd have at least 4 girls asking me for appletinis because I make amazing appletinis. And...
Really, I missed out on some invites over the last couple of years because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, it was obviously a couple of years because before I moved to Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
okay.
the applini is bomb. My favorite cocktail.
Well, cheers to that.
My favorite cocktail is the menage a trois that I make, which is 1 part blackberry liqueur, 1 part chocolate liqueur, 1 part hazelnut liqueur. Mix it up on ice, strain over ice, and then into a highballer, and then fill with cream. It's just heaven in a glass right there.
All right, party at Kelly's.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Okay. I was not expecting that from you, Kelly. That just kind of blew my mind. Okay, Joe. You're now with a bartender, so that doesn't count. Before that, because you're with a friend that's a bartender, would you normally do cocktails, Joe, at home?
Not too often. I don't really drink cocktails that much in general. I would say semi regularly, occasionally. I mostly drink if I'm not drinking beer, I would drink a mid-shelf whiskey typically, or a little bit above if it's better. But hey, I've as mentioned in the chat, I've had my share of very very bottom shelf whiskey too.
Yeah, well, that was one of my questions. If you're out, do you care what shelf it is on? Anybody? Because when you're drinking a cocktail, Albert, no one can tell that you bought the cheap ass bottom shelf liquor. So it's not as. So Helen, okay, go ahead, Helen.
I just want to jump in for a second and just say for the American-Canadian divide, we have a completely different system over here. So the idea of the bottom shelf, top shelf to us does not matter, because especially in Ontario, every province has its own approach to liquor laws. And in Ontario, we're part of the LCBO, which is the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, which is a holdover from Prohibition days. So we actually have government stores that sell our booze.
What is Pennsylvania, where Kiernan lives and where I grew up? Pennsylvania has exactly the same thing.
Right. So when I was in San Francisco last, I went into some convenience store and it blew my mind that there was $3 wine. I think I may have cried a little bit. And I was just like, I will take these back to my hotel, and maybe also the tenderloin. Some poor choices were also made that night. But for us, it's all the booze is expensive. The idea of getting a bottle of $3 wine here, you would just assume that there was something wrong with it.
Well, back in college, I drank a $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's, so there was that.
We didn't have Trader Joe's. We would just be like, what is wrong with your wine? Why is it $2?
It's disgusting. That's why it's $2. But wait, Helen, but you still have, even though you might not call it top shelf, and believe me, Pennsylvania has state stores. That's what they're called. That's where you buy your booze. You can't buy it anywhere else. And anyway, so when you go out, even though they might not have top shelf and bottom shelf, you still, when the bartender says, do you want Grey Goose? If you're getting, I don't know, a vodka drink, right?
So first, I would never drink a vodka drink.
Okay,
Because-
what? You know what I mean.
But also, all vodkas are essentially exactly the same, and
All right,
and really.
Take gin, okay, because all gin is not the same. Say you're doing a gin and tonic. Will you regularly buy Bombay Sapphire versus Gordon's, or?
No, I usually there's a big difference between my home bar and then there's like what I do when I go out. So it's like.
All right, so tell me the difference. Tell me the difference.
Oh, when I have my friends over, it's like I'm perfectly happy with like Bombay Sapphire. That's fine by me. And then when I go out, especially if it's like if I'm looking at like a $10 gin and tonic, then it better not be the stuff that I have on my shelf at home. And as I was saying to everybody in the little chat, like my boyfriend's a real fanatic about booze, and he probably has over 100 bottles. Like he has at least 12 different kinds of gin. And so actually for us, when we go out for cocktails, it's a matter of going to a place where where we can buy something that he can't already make at home.
Okay.
But honestly, like when it comes down to like the stuff that I like to drink. I like Negronis, but I also like the whiskey base, the Boulevardier. And it's like once it's all mixed up together, Campari is the dominant flavor. I'm getting nerdy. I think it's just really a matter of. Sorry.
It's my favorite cocktail.
That's because Negronis are awesome. And they're
What did Kieran say? I couldn't hear him.
Negroni.
look like Negronis.
Yeah, when I was in Italy, every day, every day at 1 o'clock, I would go to the same bar. It was a what do they call it? It was a pasticceria, and I would say, "Scusi, vorrei una Negroni di adulti, per favore," and they would bring me a Negroni for adults, and it was a normal Negroni, but it was twice as big. That's the
Because
best
you're
cocktail.
twice as big as all Italians? Is that why?
Pardon?
Because you're twice as big as all Italians? Why was it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
No, okay. So Kieran, do you guys have cocktail parties? I mean, I have to say this. I think millennials are slightly more sophisticated, at least this group is, than I was when I was in my early 20s. I mean, when I started drinking wine, I felt sophisticated. But Kieran, do you guys have cocktail parties?
Well, I mean, really, when you're just trying to impress the ladies, you have some nice cocktails. But when it's just a bunch of dudes hanging out,
What are they? What are they?
nasty shit.
What are the nice cocktails you impress the ladies with?
Well, maybe nothing nice, but stuff that's like drinkable. I mean, anything. You just go to the bar you go to the liquor store in PA, but not after 5 p.m. and not on Sundays. And you find the most ridiculous sounding liqueur, and you're like, huh, I think I'm just going to put that in a cup and maybe add some chocolate, and that sounds good.
All right, Kelly. Oh, you need to help Kieran. Obviously, you need to help Albert since you're getting more action with his lady friends than he is. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Wow, okay.
I probably.
So we
I
know
have
how
a friend,
what
Parker.
Amy's strategy is to get her romance, right? I mean, anyways.
Well, the funny thing is that I date a girl that doesn't even drink. I date a girl that doesn't even drink, so I get to do all the drinking. She does all the driving.
So you need to teach Kieran how to make cocktails, I'm sure, because that didn't sound very appetizing, Kieran's description.
Well, we have the philanderer cocktail that we're talking about here in the chat, so.
Yeah, that's the one you're gonna make me. Okay, let's get to something slightly serious though. I want to hear about Budweiser. I mean, obviously you guys think it's crap alcohol, but do you pay attention to their marketing at all? When they say they're getting rid of the Clydesdales for Christmas, does that mean anything to any of you at all? Like even a nostalgic
Yeah, I think the one Budweiser ad that has the Clydesdales that is really memorable to me is the ad that they ran after 9/11 that has the Clydesdales going to the island across from Manhattan, and they had the Clydesdales doing kind of the bow, and that's probably my favorite Budweiser ad, alongside some of these Super Bowl ads that I think had that dog and the horse, and the Clydesdales rather. So. They do make memorable ads. I'll give them that.
but it doesn't. That's it. That's the only reaction from the panel, because when I heard it, I have to say.
Actually.
Go ahead.
Amy, so I actually have sort of and some people have been already mentioning the opposite reaction to the advertising. Well, it's similar to like a lot of cheap beer advertising, is it tends to be very heavy on like really sexist imagery. So generally speaking, like their advertising actually turns me off, not turns me on. And when I see ads of like, like, oh look, it's a bikini babe and you should buy the beer, like it makes me less likely to purchase alcohol,
Armand,
not more likely.
You're talking about the new Budweiser ads that are supposed to be targeting millennials, right?
Well, I think what Armand is mentioning.
No,
is
Albert.
when you're-
Wait, Albert. I want to hear Armand. I want to hear Armand answer that.
Sure.
Sorry,
Sure.
Armand. When you said turn you off, Albert's not allowed to drink anymore on these. No, Armand. When you said turn you off, you meant the new Budweiser ads, right?
I'm not sure. I guess they're the new ones. I've just seen Budweiser ads with them like focusing on like beer babes and stuff like that, and it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the new one. Does anybody else have reactions to that? Albert does.
Well, are you talking about the ads that like the Budweiser ads that run during NFL games? The whole like.
Yeah, they're like college party.
If it's weird, then maybe if it's weird, if it's weird and it works, then all that stuff. I mean, I see those ads too, and I know that there's definitely the whole sexist imagery in there as well. I mean, yeah, I see those ads and I'm like, well, they're just catering to the demographic because that's what a lot of NFL viewers are. They're.
It doesn't make it okay.
Of course, it doesn't make it okay.
A lot of NFL viewers are racist. That doesn't mean we start playing like,
lot
oh
of
look,
NFL
you hate black people, buy Budweiser. Like that wouldn't be okay.
I think a lot of NFL viewers.
The NFL promotes beating up your wife. I mean, that's a whole entire different discussion. But yeah.
Well, I wouldn't comment it as, well, they're just targeting their demo, like.
I'm going to the very lowest denominator there.
You know what? Actually, I can go lower than Albert here right now. Let me take the stick away from him now. You could go so low as to say that not only are they targeting their demographic, but it's not even the advertiser's responsibility to promote social change. So what you're arguing, Armand, is that if it's inappropriate to make that advertisement, it's because it would be the advertiser's responsibility to promote the social change instead of make the sale. And the thing is that at the end of the day, the advertiser just wants to make the sale. And
yeah, but they're not making
that sale
sales, Kelly.
to associate the beer with bikini-clad women.
Well, now we're voting in we're literally giving them our options by not buying it. I mean, now we have a generation who's legitimately calling it out, being like, this is actually gross, so I'm not going to buy this. And if Budweiser was the best beer ever, if they were putting ads out like that, I would be like, no, screw you, until you treat me like I'm a person, I'm done.
Yes. Helen, what, Kieran?
I want to say that millennials are one of the most self-aware generations, in so much that if we see something that we know is overtly racist or overtly sexist or just reinforcing patriarchal dogma, we will not support that because we're open-minded enough and progressive enough to realize that our predecessors are the ones that are holding on to these antiquated prejudice ideologies, and we will not subscribe to that. We will conscientiously object to doing that. And what Armand's saying right here about not purchasing Budweiser and being repulsed by these sexist adverts, I think that's completely true across all the board of millennials.
Okay, Helen, I know you think we have 2 minutes, but I still want to hear you say it. Helen has issues with it as well. But millennials weren't buying Bud before these campaigns started. That's why they started them. And we'll watch and see what happens. I hope every millennial is as enlightened as you, but I don't think the entire generation is. No one generation can be. Helen, can you come back?
Well, okay, so what I will say is that millennials may not be buying Budweiser, but they're certainly buying Bud Light. They're certainly buying a number of other Budweiser products because most millennials are really happy to jump onto a cause, but they're not actually happy to do the research to find out exactly how far spread a brand's ownership goes. They're not usually all that interested in finding out how strong a corporation may be. There are lots and lots of examples I mean, and again, like Amy's just bringing up Samantha, and Samantha might be the exception, but most people I know will say things like, I don't want to drink Budweiser, but they're not also thinking about all the other beers that Budweiser carries. And I think that what's really interesting to me as well is that and this is something that could get me started forever, is that we also have this tendency of saying, other people but not me. So, for instance, like, and Albert, this is not an attack on you, but when you say, like, I'm not the demographic they're trying to talk to, the fact of the matter is you're a male between the ages of 18 to 32, and you have to be tuning in at that particular time, which means you are that demographic. They are trying to talk to you, and maybe it doesn't resonate with you, but this is what happens, and I see this happening a lot, where people sit there and say, well, they're not talking to me, they're not reflecting my values. But in many ways they are, and especially because, I mean, my exclusive specialty is online. We often create these sort of self-affirming echo chambers of communities. So on Facebook or Twitter, we think everybody shares the values that we do, but we but we have a tendency of not being able to sort of step outside of ourselves or outside of our immediate communities that we manufacture for ourselves, and instead we judge people as being other, as opposed to sitting there and saying, well, actually, maybe they're the dominant force. Maybe I'm the minority, and that most other people are the majority. And while they may not be speaking to me at this particular time, they're trying to. And although I may not agree with this message, there are 6 or 7 other people out there who are sitting right now in the exact same place I am, nodding their head and saying, yes, that's exactly how I feel. Yes. And so, I mean, I could talk about this for forever.
Well, here's what I want to do. I'm going to stop you because I think that is such an important point, and I think I knew what Albert was saying too when he said I'm not the demographic. He wasn't thinking age. He was thinking idiot that would buy into those sexist ads. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, but I mean, I get what Helen's getting at too. I mean, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So wait, let me wrap this up. But this is what I want to do, Helen. We have talked about social media's impact on relationships, but I think the echo chamber thing is something we really need to explore, and we're running over a little bit, but you know, in my personal Facebook wall, I get constant comments because I don't have an echo chamber, because I have lots of people who disagree with me, and people are always like, man, your wall's crazy, because I don't use it the way that other people do, and I didn't realize that for a while. But let's do a hangout on that, those specific types of things where you see an ad like the Budweiser ad and you go, that doesn't apply to lots of people. No one's going to buy that, but obviously someone is, right? So, okay, we'll do that. All right, we got to wrap up. It's 9:02. Goodness, this was way more serious than I thought it would be, but good. All right, so hang on, because we're gonna hang out afterwards off air. Just so everyone knows, we're gonna take we're gonna be on after the holidays, after Christmas. We'll be on between New Year's and Christmas. I mean, Christmas and New Year's, but we're going to take next week off because so much is going on and everybody's busy. So we will see you back here, and I will certainly promote it on social, and look for the recap on Sunday on our blog post at our company. And thanks, everybody. Happy Christmas if we don't talk to you before then.